Let me tell you something. I've been watching weather models for a long time, and what I'm looking at right now? This is one of those moments you circle on the calendar. This is one of those setups that meteorologists dream about and storm chasers lose sleep over. We are staring down the barrel of what could be a historic, life-altering, straight-up monster of a nor'easter, and it is bearing down on the I-95 corridor like a freight train with no brakes. So buckle up, grab your snow shovel, and let's get into it. Because tonight, February 21st, 2026, the models have spoken, and they are screaming. Let's start with the story that's been unfolding in slow motion over the last 72 hours, and honestly, it's one of the most satisfying things I've seen play out in model analysis in recent memory. 3 days ago, the European model, the one that meteorologists often hold up as the gold standard, the queen of the model suite, was showing a completely different solution. 2 days ago, still holding its ground. Yesterday, still clinging to its own version of events. And then today? Today, the European folded. Completely. It caved. It waved the white flag and came around to exactly what the American GFS model has been screaming about for days, how the mighty have fallen. The GFS, yes, that GFS, led the way on this one, and every major model suite is now falling in line. Write it down. February 20th through 21st, 2026, the day the GFS won the argument. By the way, if you'd like specific weather forecasts for your region or city, please leave them in the comments. I'll answer them individually as time allows. Also, if you like the video and subscribe to my channel, you'd be very grateful. Now let's move on. And what exactly are all these models agreeing on? A major snowstorm, a full-blown blizzard for significant portions of the mid-Atlantic and lower New England. We're not talking about a nuisance snow event. We're not talking about a couple of inches that shuts down a school and melts by noon. We're talking about a storm that people are going to remember for years. The kind of storm that becomes a reference point. Remember the blizzard of 26? Yeah, that kind. So let's break this down, city by city, region by region, because you deserve the specifics. Starting down south along the coast, Norfolk, Virginia, you're in this. You're going to see significant snowfall accumulations, and as we track northeast up through Richmond, the snow totals ramp up quickly. Richmond is looking at a serious event. Now here's where things really get wild. Washington, D.C. and the surrounding metro, we are looking at potentially over a foot of snow. Some model solutions are pushing well beyond that. If you're in D.C., Northern Virginia, or the Maryland suburbs, this is not a drill. This is a storm you prepare for in advance. Stock up now. Get your supplies Saturday, because by Sunday morning, this thing is going to be in full swing. Baltimore, Maryland. You're sitting right in the heart of the bullseye. Snowfall totals for Baltimore are looking at 12 inches and climbing, with some model runs pushing significantly higher depending on the exact track of the low. And speaking of Maryland, if you're further east, over toward Annapolis, the eastern shore, down into the Delmarva Peninsula, some model solutions are showing absolutely jaw-dropping totals. We're talking potentially 24 inches or more in southern Maryland and into Delaware. That's 2 feet of snow, folks. 2 feet. Dover, Delaware. You could be looking at 24 inches as well. That's an extraordinary amount of snow. And if those numbers verify, it would be one of the more memorable snowfalls Delaware has ever seen. Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, is looking at somewhere in the range of 20 inches or more, with some aggressive model runs pushing even higher. The Philadelphia metro area, including the suburbs in South Jersey, sits right in a zone where this storm is going to absolutely unload. Trenton, New Jersey is looking at potentially 24 inches. Read that again, 2 feet of snow in Trenton. Now, let's talk about New York City, because New York, this one has your name written all over it. Current model consensus is putting the city somewhere around 18 inches of snow. Long Island is tracking toward nearly 2 feet, with the eastern end of the island potentially seeing even higher totals depending on wind-driven snow bands. If you're in Suffolk County, Nassau County, or out on the Forks, this is a major, major storm. And for the 5 boroughs, get ready. This is going to be a city stopper. Heading further northeast, Connecticut, you're right in the thick of this. Hartford is looking at well over a foot of snow. New Haven, Bridgeport, Stamford. Coastal Connecticut is going to get hammered. Rhode Island, Providence is tracking toward 12 to 18 inches based on current model guidance, and that number could go higher. And then there's Boston, Massachusetts. you are looking at a significant snowstorm. Current guidance puts the Boston Metro at well over a foot of snow, with some models showing 18 to 24 inches when you factor in wind-driven accumulations. Cape Cod, the models are showing some of the most extreme wind gusts of this entire storm in your area, and snowfall totals to match. We're talking potentially historic conditions on the Cape. Southern New Hampshire, Manchester, Nashua, Concord, you're going to see a foot or more. The White Mountains could see extraordinary totals. Vermont, particularly southern Vermont, Burlington, Brattleboro, Montpelier, significant snow is on the way. And southern Maine, Portland, Augusta, you're getting pulled into this as well, with totals that could reach 8 to 12 inches or more, depending on the track. Now let me explain why this storm is going to be so extreme, because it's not just about the snow, it's about the entire atmosphere conspiring to create something truly powerful. What we're dealing with here is a process called bombogenesis, and that word alone should tell you everything you need to know. Bombogenesis is when a low-pressure system undergoes a rapid, explosive drop in atmospheric pressure, at least 24 millibars in 24 hours. And this system is projected to drop from around 1,000 millibars Sunday afternoon all the way down to 970 millibars by early Monday morning. That is a catastrophic pressure drop. That is a bomb cyclone in every sense of the term. Here's how the timeline plays out. Sunday morning around 7 a.m., you're going to see rain across much of North Carolina, with snow already falling in northern Virginia and Pennsylvania. Temperatures across the mid-Atlantic will be sitting in the low to mid-30s. As Sunday progresses into the afternoon, the storm really starts to lock in. Snow spreading north and east, covering D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, and the Jersey Shore in what I can only describe as a relentless wall of snow. By Sunday evening and into Sunday night, this thing is cranking. The low pressure is bombing out off the Delmarva Peninsula. The isobars are packed in tight, and that means wind. A lot of wind. Let's talk about these wind gusts, because this is what separates a major snowstorm from a full-blown blizzard. We're looking at sustained winds and gusts that are going to create blizzard conditions across a wide swath of the coast. Wind gusts in the Chesapeake Bay region, the eastern shore of Maryland, the Jersey Shore, and Long Island are projected to reach 50 miles per hour. Yes, 50 mph gusts. New York City is looking at gusts in that same range. And then over on Cape Cod, the models are showing gusts approaching 70 miles per hour. Boston is projected to see wind gusts near 60 miles per hour. These are hurricane force equivalents. Combined with heavy snow rates, we're talking near zero visibility, impossible travel conditions, and the very real potential for thundersnow, lightning and thunder during a blizzard. When the atmosphere is this loaded with energy and moisture, thundersnow isn't just possible, it's likely in some of the heavier snow bands. This isn't a random storm that appeared out of nowhere. I've been tracking the large-scale pattern that's been setting this up for days. We have a Rex block that has taken shape over the Western Hemisphere, a dominant high-pressure ridge out west that is essentially acting as a wall, forcing energy to buckle southward and then rocket back up the east coast. Cold air has been building in eastern Canada, sitting in place, waiting. And now we've got an energy package diving in from the northwest, connecting with Gulf moisture and Atlantic moisture simultaneously. This low is going to tuck right into the coast, bomb out, and pull unbelievable amounts of moisture off the Atlantic and sling it back into the northeast in the form of heavy, wind-driven snow. The pattern is almost textbook for a classic nor'easter, and the ingredients are all there. Cold air, moisture, energy, and a coastally trapped low that knows exactly what it's doing. Now, in the spirit of being completely transparent with you, not every model is fully on board. The Canadian regional model, what some call the NAM's less aggressive cousin, is currently the most conservative solution. It still gives you a solid snow event, but it keeps more of the heaviest totals offshore compared to the GFS and the European. Even in that scenario, though, you're still looking at significant accumulations across the mid-Atlantic and New England. The weakest solution still produces a memorable storm. So regardless of which model ends up being closer to correct, this is not an event you ignore. Let's also quickly touch on what's going on across the rest of the country right now, because the weather never takes a day off. Up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, Marquette, Hancock, Iron Mountain, Escanaba, you're currently dealing with heavy lake effect snow. Totals of 6 to 10 inches are possible in the UP, with Traverse City and Cadillac picking up accumulating snow as well. Over in the Northeast, a current system is already dropping snow across upstate New York, Utica, Albany, Ithaca, and into Vermont and New Hampshire, Burlington, Montpelier, Manchester. You've got snow on the ground right now. Parts of that region could see 5 to 10 inches from this current setup before the main event even arrives. Down in the southeast, we've got a marginal risk of severe weather Saturday from Mobile, Alabama, all the way across to Charleston, South Carolina. Wind is the primary concern, with a slight tornado risk, around 2%. Not a major severe weather outbreak, but if you're in southern Georgia or coastal South Carolina, stay weather aware. Out west, California is finally getting some much-needed rain, with heavy snow in the higher Sierra Nevada elevations. The Pacific Northwest is dealing with a mix of rain and mountain snow as well, as looking ahead beyond this weekend's monster storm, because yes, there's more, around February 26th, another system begins to wind up in the Great Lakes, eventually sweeping back into the Northeast with another round of potentially heavy snow. And then as we push into early March, around March 1st through 3rd, I'm watching another Arctic high-pressure system dropping down from Canada in conjunction with another surface low tracking through the south. This setup has the potential, and I want to stress it's still early, to bring snow to portions of the upper southeast, the Ohio Valley, and possibly redevelop into another coastal event for the Northeast. The European model has this solution, and it's worth watching closely over the next several days. Bottom line for this weekend, the blizzard is coming. The models have reached a level of agreement that I rarely see this far out. The GFS has led the way, and now the European, the NAM, and the AI-driven ensemble models are all singing from the same hymn sheet. Bombogenesis is the mechanism. The I-95 corridor is the target, and the cities in the crosshairs, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, Trenton, New York City, Boston, need to be prepared and prepared now. If you're anywhere from Norfolk, Virginia to Portland, Maine, this storm deserves your full attention. Get your supplies Saturday. Know your emergency plan. Charge your devices. Check on your neighbors. And if you've been in the comments asking me when we'd get a real legitimate blizzard for the Northeast, well, here it is. Don't let it sneak up on you. Drop your city in the comments below and let me know what you're expecting, what you're hoping for, or what you're dreading. If you're new here, subscribe, because we are going to be covering this storm blow by blow all the way through Monday. This is exactly why I do this. Stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next one.